of Northeast Streaming Sports.
What's up, everybody? It's another NFC East show, and we are live. At least three of us are. There's another one who's sick, but it didn't matter because they were the only one that lost this past week. I figured we'll show him enough love by just saying, hey, he lost. So that all being said, all of us now are in the playoffs. If the playoffs were to end right this second, the entire NFC East would be in the playoffs.
Crazy. Absolutely.
Say it isn't so. Say it isn't so. Even Washington.
Even Washington. I mean, I said before the season started that 3 of the 4 teams would be in the playoffs, and I had the Giants being the outside looking in.
Are you sure it was the Giants? You sure it wasn't yourself?
No, I said I predicted 12-5. That's what my prediction was 12-5.
12-5 for the Commanders?
Yeah, that's what I said.
I'll have to pull up the tape on that. I'm gonna throw the red flag here in a little while and have to pull up from early in the season.
I swear I said 12-5.
Yeah, I think it was more like 5-12, but that's
I definitely didn't say that. I definitely did not say that.
So I was looking at a few different things, and how is it possible that really all of the East teams, out of all the playoff spots, the East has 7 of 8 possible playoff spots available to the AFC East and the NFC East. As of right this second, the NFC East is undefeated against the AFC South. Is that correct?
No. We lost to the Titans.
So you guys have played the Titans and lost.
Yep. Should have won, but we lost.
So that's just the one game.
Yep. I believe so.
Okay. I wanted to make sure. I wanted to make sure on that because I was saying I couldn't find a loss. And I wasn't sure because I know that we play the Titans this week. I know that Dallas plays the Titans in a couple of weeks, right?
Late December.
Right. So, and we've won all of our games. I mean, we beat the Colts, we beat the Texans, we beat, the Jags.
Jaguars. Yeah.
So
I believe we have the same scenario of playing now straight the AFC South, starting with the Colts this Sunday.
Got you. So you guys
So-
haven't played any AFC team yet.
Nope.
So they're going to go on a nice little run.
Yeah, it's just
the
I think this
AFC
year's
South
scheduling
is gonna. The AFC South is gonna, just run through Dallas.
I hope so, but I don't think so.
So
I'll tell you what.
unfortunately, I think that I think the Colts are playing better, but I just don't think that they're ready enough.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and after the time management, he said, she said, it came back, and he admitted he should have called timeout this past Monday night. And it's neither here or there. It's what is he going to do in the future, and I think he's going to provide a better coaching scenario for the Colts. So I think we're going to have a tough game this coming Sunday. I think he's going to be.
I would agree. I would agree.
He's going to be more inclined to do. Yeah.
I think that the team is just playing for him. Which is
exactly.
odd.
No, they definitely are. They definitely are.
And that's kind of what's making that. And twice this week, 2 teams won on a 2-point conversion at the end of a game.
So, yeah, there was another one that was almost there as well, I believe. I think there was a total of 3 games that were right at the end of the fourth quarter. So,
well, the one was the field goal, but that was in the same breath.
Okay.
They took the lead with the 2-point conversion, and then a 67-yard field goal would have won it for the Ravens.
Oh yeah. That's it.
So that's. But
and I thought that was going in. I thought that was going.
It was online. I was sitting there, and I'm like, I'm like, is it going to go in? It's online? It's online.
Yep.
It was 3 yards short. It was like a good 3 yards short.
Yeah.
That camera doesn't do justice to it, but
No.
it was a full 3 yards short. So
it was a fun game, though.
Yeah, and look at that. The Jaguars, who really have nothing to play for, and that is a win that defines next year.
Yeah. That kid throwing the ball. That kid throwing the ball for them is just that 2-point conversion throw. That's one of the best throws I've seen. Even though it was just a 3-yard pass, it's one of the best thrown balls I've seen all year. I mean, you couldn't put it in a better position for him. And I think you're right. It's proven for next year. I think the AFC South is going to be a little bit more contentious with the Jaguars coming into play.
Well, I definitely believe that, I don't think that the Tigers are strong, moving forward. I think that the Colts are in full rebuild mode.
Yes.
Do you believe that Saturday becomes the head coach?
No, I don't think he'll become the head coach.
That this is just an interim thing?
Yeah, I think it's just what. Yeah, I think it's just what was, put out first was just an interim job. I think it's too much. I think the way he got thrown into the position was crazy in itself. But I don't think he's fit for the job. As I'm not taking anything away from him. I'm just saying that it's not his time to shine as head coach.
Understood.
And if it does go through the process, I'm going to say this. If it does go through the process, I'm going to say that Irsay is looking for some probability of Saturday talking Peyton Manning to get in there to help out rebuild just because of the relationship that they have.
Peyton being a position coach
or a GM?
I would say somewhere in a director position, somewhere, player personnel, somewhere in that position to where he can talk people into getting in with the organization.
Gotcha.
I think there's a little
the GM.
Yeah, I think there's a little disarray going on. I don't think, as much as he says he's a true Bronco, I just don't see it. And I don't think with the buyout that the Broncos had with the new ownership is going to work in his favor. So it could be a probability that he could be leaning back towards a Colts if things are set in the right conditions where he does have control over a team.
You think that Irsay is going to be able to give it up like that? That would be a
believe
pretty
so.
bold move on Irsay's part too, because Irsay is an owner that likes to stick his hands in.
Oh
And
yeah,
I think that the Colts specifically are a product of what happens when somebody who has no idea what's going on plays.
well,
So
that's the whole point. I think it would be a little bit of payback for the way the situation was that Manning left to begin with.
Right.
I think it would be, here's the keys to the car. Just drive it wherever you want. Just don't go into the ditch.
well,
So
that-
I think that's where it could be leading towards.
what would be some of the things that could possibly occur when you put Peyton Manning in a position as GM?
I'm going to say, first of all, you're going to have players who want to play for him.
Yeah.
Especially coming off, being that he is a Super Bowl champ, being that he is, he does have the knowledge and history of winning. I think that has a lot to do with it. I'm not taking anything away from John Elway either from the Denver Broncos when they pulled him, when they pulled Peyton over there to say, hey, this is, we're going to bring him in and we're going to bring so-and-so. But I think Peyton Manning has more of the players' ears than say a John Elway does, more than any other GM, because he's at that age. He's old enough to know, but still young enough to know the players.
Yeah.
So I
Would
think
this
that's
coincide with a two-year like just tanking of sorts to be able to get his nephew?
His nephew.
Well,
you'd have to
not sure.
tank for 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
Not sure about that, but yeah, it's his nephew doesn't even go into college until another 2 years.
Is
No, he
it
goes next year. I thought it was next year.
Yeah, I thought it was next year he's in.
Yeah, I think
That's why I say
senior
it's got to
this
be
year.
2 years. It's got to be 2 years because he
Yeah,
goes
but
to
do you think
Texas next year.
Yeah, do you think he comes out after his sophomore year though?
Yeah,
I know
absolutely.
he
Especially if
could,
your
but-
especially if your uncle's going to make sure he drafts you first.
No, I don't see.
I just don't.
I don't see that scenario playing out.
I would say maybe after his third year, but
He was actually down here during the TCU game, but
Peyton
I don't think
was, or the nephew was.
I don't think there's any way that you allow that to happen. I mean, that's just stupidity at its finest. If you think you're going to tank for several years, knowing that you've got a player like that kid coming in, you just can't do that kind of.
But it wouldn't be a matter of tanking. The Colts are in such bad disarray right now.
Yeah.
That the first year you could say you're cleaning house and literally go 1-15. The second year, without a quarterback, you could still go like 3-14 or whatever, 4-13, and still have a really good chance of getting that number 1 pick.
Yeah, I just don't see as an NFL team that playing out in that scenario. I could see that. I mean, with I can't picture that with actually any team in the NFL.
All right.
It's just too much. There's too much commodity there as far as sales revenues that you don't want to disappoint your fans. You're always trying to win as much as possible. So I can't picture that scenario.
Well, the only way that I picture that scenario is because now you've got Peyton Manning as your GM, and that is going to just naturally put butts in seats. He's not even going to be on the field, and it's going to put a
for Indianapolis. Yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see that. But at the same time, from the fans up there, they also want to win, regardless of the situation that their record shows. They can be 2-10 and they still want to win.
Right.
So.
Yeah, well, they could want to win. Doesn't mean that they're going to win.
Well, that's true too.
That is true.
I mean, I tell you, I was fairly surprised. Went to Indianapolis, and I went there, and the video that they show at the beginning before the game sort of celebrating the departure of the Colts from Baltimore. Like it was an awkward video to watch.
Of Baltimore, of the Colts moving
from Baltimore, and the handshake between the ownership, in Indianapolis and stuff like that. It was an awkward video. And I'm like, wow, this is a video showing the other half of the Mayflower truck pulling out of Baltimore.
Yeah,
you see it pulling into Indianapolis.
Wow. Yeah, that's
it was
that's kind of awkward.
Odd.
We're still living in if they're going back to that day, it's kind of weird.
You know what? I spoke with a couple of other Eagles fans who felt the exact same way. I'm like, that is a very odd video to show.
Yeah, it is.
Before the game, and I mean, I guess if you're from Indianapolis, it doesn't matter to you. Who cares how you got the team?
Right.
Yeah, you got the team.
You're there, so.
Yeah, that is kind of weird.
All right, enough talking about losers because we are in a winning division, and
we are.
Since we're all in the playoffs and stuff like that, let's start talking about the first half of the Giants-Cowboys game. How are you feeling?
I was still confident at the point that I knew we were going to pull away in the second half. I was kind of disappointed, and again, it all goes back to Kellen Moore and the play calling. Again, there was another trick play. There's no reason for it. The run game is the run game when you run the ball the way we should. I still think the weak link in our system is the offensive coordinator, and it's not just me saying it. It's you hear it from other folks, and it's time that something be done, because if we're put in a situation where it's going to be left up to him, I don't think he's going to drive us to where we need to go. He's just going to veer off, and it's not cool. I don't understand the trick plays, but that game was a very run-oriented game, and the passing was there. I know Dak gave up, a couple of turnovers on interceptions. Again, throwing into traffic when he doesn't need to throw into traffic, but I just didn't see the Giants prevailing the way, that they were coming off in the first 5 minutes of the game.
Would you say Dak has regressed a little bit?
Dak is what?
Has regressed a little bit this year?
No, I don't think he's regressed. I think it's just the play calling ability. And you got to remember, even though this is week 11, week 11?
We're on to week 12.
Week 12. I mean, this is literally his.
You guys were.
Yeah, it's his fourth game. Yeah, it's his fourth game of the year. So, I mean, he really hasn't had time to settle in, and I think things will change. But he just still needs to turn things around with holding that ball and not throwing it into traffic the way he has.
So you're saying that he's just getting used to being back out on the field.
Yeah, that's basically it. It's, fifth game of the year, and he's barely getting warmed up.
Got you. Well, I don't think he's warm at all. I think he's actually fairly cold. That being said, you guys are, I believe, the odds-on favorite right now to get OBJ.
Yeah,
as long as he puts his seatbelt on for the airplane.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Well, that is Miami too. So,
what? That he didn't want to be in a seatbelt?
No, just a little night after party or whatever it may have been. A couple of adult beverages.
Yeah.
When we all know what he's like when he can, when he wants to be an ass, he's good at it. He's good at it.
Yep.
But I believe, I'm in Buffalo today. Talking to them.
I'll be right back.
Okay. So I believe he was in Buffalo today talking about that.
Is Kansas City still in the mix? Or no?
I don't know that Kansas City was in the mix, but
I think
I
they
mean, I
might
didn't-
have been until they made that trade to get Tony from the Giants. Because I remember
Yeah,
Kelsey on his
that might-
podcast was talking about it. So, but
got
it's
you.
what the
That's
Bills,
possible.
yeah. What is it? The Bills, Giants, Cowboys, and the Ravens. I heard the Ravens.
Yeah, I don't think Ravens have a chance.
Yeah.
I think that the Ravens losing that game knocked them out. Not for any other reason other than I don't think anybody wants to go to Baltimore.
Yeah.
It's just kind of my opinion. How come the Commanders aren't interested?
I think we're pretty good in the wide receiver department. I don't think we really need them. I think, I mean, let's be honest. Heineke
You
has
got
a
one
hard
wide
time.
receiver, as far as I'm
No,
concerned.
we don't have one wide. We've got multiple wide receivers. They just Heineke
They really only have one that he
doesn't-
likes to throw to.
exactly. So that's the thing. Heineke just doesn't. He doesn't. Move the ball around that much. I mean, we found our game, and that's running the ball. And if we need Heineke to make a throw, hopefully it's not intercepted.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Any potential that Wentz becomes starter again?
If Heineke gets hurt.
So
I don't
only if
see-
Heineke gets hurt.
I think only if Heineke gets hurt. I think Heineke has proven to Ron Rivera that the team steps up when he's at the helm. I don't know. It's just I don't think it's a different offense because I think we're just running the ball now. Whereas when we had Carson Wentz in, Turner was constantly throwing. He was calling passing plays rather than running the ball and opening up for play action pass or whatever. We weren't running the ball at all the first couple of games that Wentz was in there. But then once Wentz got hurt, we turned the ball over to the running backs and we kept on going. So I don't see Wentz getting back in unless Heineke gets hurt.
Okay. And I mean, of course, I saw your video where a win is a win is a win.
Yep.
You've been having a lot of those videos lately where it's just like you guys are,
and that's the thing. We haven't had. I mean, the Houston game, that might have been, probably the most convincing win that we've had all season. The rest have been down to the wire, last play. My heart stopped a few times. I mean, it's just, I just want a game where I can just sit back and relax and enjoy it, and I did that in Houston, but I can't take too many more of these games. I'm not going to make it in the end.
I don't know. Who do you guys have this week? I haven't even looked at that yet.
We've got New York at New York.
Oh, you guys are playing the Giants.
We play the Giants, then we have a bye, then we're at home. Then we're at home against the Giants.
Oh, got you.
2-3. Wow.
And that will determine who really is going to be, who really is going to have that number 6 spot, I guess.
Yeah.
Even a split kind of determines that, because as long as I think Seattle is now, the bubblegum lost its flavor. You know what I mean? I think Seattle's done.
San Fran.
Yeah, I think San Francisco kind of runs the rest of that. I think that Arizona is not very good. I think but I think Arizona is better than Seattle. You know what I mean? I know that they have to play each other. So I think that isn't another team that's going to come up and be able to catch you guys even. You know what I mean? Especially if you guys wind up 8-5 at the end of this week. If you guys are 8-5 and so are the Giants, I think that that's going to be enough because ultimately, even in the last 5 weeks, you guys are all like everybody, or 4 weeks, you guys will win 2 games. And I thought
Yeah.
10 games is the point here. That's why the moment that it's possible we get clinched a playoff spot with a win this week. Had 11 wins.
Yeah. Yep.
But the only reason why we don't is because of, I guess, Seattle. Seattle is the one team that could possibly, like, if we were to start losing every game and stuff like that, that Seattle is the one team that could win out and knock us out of a playoffs, saying that we don't win the division and stuff like that.
Right.
But
yeah, I don't see that happen.
I don't see that happening either. Because obviously once we win this week, it'll be lights out.
Who do you guys have this week?
The Titans.
Okay.
In Philly. So, and I got to imagine that the Titans are probably looking to rebound from last week's loss.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure AJ Brown will have about 10 touchdowns.
I firmly believe that as well. I think that AJ Brown is going to go off on his old team.
Yep.
Yeah, I hear that Jordan Davis is back. I don't believe that though. I mean, I know he's to be back this week, Jordan Davis, and he's been sorely missed with the run. But I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I think that he may only have like 10 plays. I think that they're going to ease him back very lightly. They do not want to risk him furthering the injury or doing whatever. I know that when he was on the field, I paid attention to him running off during the halftime and during the end of the game, and he was mobile. You know what I mean? But I would much rather him be 100% and not playing at like 85% right now with the potential of re-injuring. So I don't know. We will see. But I think that's, again, looked like that the run defense, for the Eagles is like our Achilles heel. But you can't outscore us. That's the problem teams are having. They cannot outscore us.
We did.
Well, you guys did with a lot of help from some bad calls.
Oh, gosh. Here we go.
And listen, I don't need to make an excuse. You guys won.
Yep.
But, again.
A win is a win.
A win is a win. But no Jordan Davis. If that game has happened in the playoffs, Jordan Davis makes a big, big difference in there. Now, also, in Ndamukong Suh. I mean, think about all the changes that happened since that game. They said, we will not be run on again like that.
Yeah.
And I think that has a little bit to do with Ndamukong, and Jeffrey's not coming, or Jefferson or whatever his name is. I don't even know the other guy's name, is going, clogging up that middle. And still getting used to the calls and the terminology and stuff like that. But I mean, this is the time now. This is the time. And the one thing that I really love about all of this is that, well, first off, Fletcher Cox probably had the best game that he's had in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
This past Sunday. He was in on the first tackle. He had a sack and a half. He was just all over the place. And I think that has to do with the fact that you now have to double team Suh. So you both of them free. Thank you. So there's that defensive line just became a lot more formidable in a big, big way. So still not enough pressure on the quarterback though.
What's up, Tyler? So my thing was after the game when the coach for Philly said what he said when he was walking out of the Colts. I don't know if I'm still trying to wrap my head around that.
So
when he went to the fans,
from what I understand, and I'm only hearing this second level. Like this is whispered down the lane that there were a few Colts fans who were very vocal about everything that was happening, and just and being very on the band straight out berate him. And Frank Reich and all that other stuff, and that was so that there was some below the belt stuff being
some animosity
on that side. That was his way of, that was his way of saying, and that's for Frank, like if you guys are all going to act this way to me, I can only imagine what you were like with him.
Yeah.
So,
well, I just still, as a head coach going to the sideline, regardless of what's said, it must have took something for him to go to the sideline and say something to somebody the way he did.
You know what? I have found that this coach is not like any other coach.
Oh, I figured that too. So it won't be a problem now, but I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to be a problem in the future. Mark my words.
Maybe.
No.
Or maybe not.
Will be.
Because you know what? Winning cures a lot of things.
Well, winning does cure a lot of things, but your head coach I'm just saying from years of experience of watching these guys, it just mark my words.
We'll see. We will see. But in the meantime, as long as he keeps winning, he can keep talking to the fans as much as he wants to. And that's how I feel about that. I hope he yells at fans after a Super Bowl win. He could say hey, he could say for that's for PSG. You know what I mean? At the end of the Super Bowl. And I'll be okay with that
for sure.
And I'll be okay with that. So, I mean, because I've already started to plan out my trip to get
to Arizona.
To Arizona for the Super Bowl.
So one of the big things going, talking about Arizona again, what came up this week again was the injuries from the grass and the artificial. And I know we've talked about it previously, but I'm thinking that, there's going to have to be some conformity amongst the NFL and the NFL owners that, there has to be one way or the other. You can't be having different fields for these guys. It played out this week again with weather. So I don't know if you were watching the games that had rain. I'm pretty sure every game had rain this weekend. But the thing was the field and puddles and everything else that was going on, and players complaining about the artificial and vice versa. And I don't know about you guys, but I prefer them play on grass because let's keep it real. That's the way football should be. But what do you guys think the NFL is going to be doing about this? It's getting a little bit ridiculous on the amount of injuries that are happening and what the players are ultimately wanting.
Well, I can tell you, I mean, we had rain this past week, and I think the way our field looks this year is probably the best that it's ever looked. And I mean, in the years past when we had rain, I mean, the players' uniforms were filthy from just the clay coming up and everything. But, Falcons wore all white, and I don't even think they had grass stains. I mean, it was just,
But what about the injuries?
We didn't have any injuries.
Well, that's where I'm going.
Yeah, I mean,
there was a hit. There was a block below the knees on Lane Johnson that he specifically said out loud that thank God we were playing at home and on grass
Yeah.
So his feet could come
because
out
my
from under him.
my my
Feet would have not
came out from under me, and it saved me from having bad injury.
Yeah.
Yep.
That if they were playing on turf, he'd probably be out for the rest of the season.
Yep.
So it becomes more a difficulty in terms of, I know that you guys roll out. I mean, I watched the process happen. So you guys rolling out for Dallas, rolling out the carpet for there, and then putting out all of the Goodyear tires, rubber and stuff like. Yeah.
Turf
That
turds.
being said, what is he going to have to buy a year's supply of grass and do regular grass turf?
Wow, that's I don't know, but I would have to say if there's going to be a vote, and I think there's probably going to be one this coming off season about it. I know the owners have the say so, but I think there's going to be some sort of conformity within the organizations to say, okay, this is what we're going to have to do. To me, ultimately, I don't think it's going to pass. I still think there's going to be a difference in both playing fields. But the thing is the players are the ones who ultimately should have the say in what goes on. I believe the NFLPA needs to step up.
Yep.
Well, I hear that, but ultimately, it's like, how are you going to change buildings to be able to conform to grass?
Well,
I remember watching that commercial a long time ago where you could put this grass seed on a cinder block and it was going to grow. You know what I mean? And that's ultimately what you'd have to do then.
Oh yeah.
You'd have to start getting grass to grow on concrete.
Well, I'm sure they would lay down the dirt and everything else and start doing it that way.
You're right, but now how do you get the sun? How do you make that grass grow indoors? I mean, I guess it's feasible, but you're talking a really big deal, and all the mess that's going to come with that. You're going to you'll have divot stoppages because you'll have like big divots in the grass.
Well, it's the same way, turning the ice rink into a basketball rink.
That's the first thing I thought of right there. Is that's the divot repair is like ice repair. You're going to wind up having to have all that on hand, ready to go to put grass down where there ain't none.
Yeah, and the thing is that there's a lot of green thumb guys who left for the golf side of things to make more money now that golf is going, back into they're coming back to the NFL and baseball. And you can see the difference, like Porkrind's talking about how his field had a difference. And I guarantee you the guy that's in charge there, finally got himself some help. And I think ultimately that's what all NFL teams need to do. I'd prefer that every team play on grass.
Yep.
Yeah, well, the moment that you become commissioner, you can definitely vote on that.
Just vote.
You have my vote. You have my vote.
I'll let you fly on the plane.
There you go. Hey, listen, it's funny, for all those people that aren't out here on that inside joke about me flying on the plane, during the draft, when I spoke to Roger Goodell, I asked him, the question that I asked him, like, listen, I need to get somewhere. Can I borrow the plane? He's like, what? I'm like, yeah, the private jet. You get to use the private jet for anything you want to. I got to borrow it for a minute. He laughed at me, but it was a real question. It makes me stand out a little bit. I keep wondering if I should ask him to go down to the game in Dallas for Christmas Eve.
There you go.
And that's why I need to get a hold of Jerry. I know Jerry loves trolling me, and I got to imagine that he saw on TV the exact same thing that everybody else saw on TV was me yelling at you. Us, and I'm sure that he would want to troll me in a certain way.
I believe that. What time is that game?
It's a 4:30 game.
I think that might be flex, and I hope not.
No. That will not be flexed. Not on Christmas Eve. That too much, way too much. They would have to flex that now.
Well, yeah, I mean the Miami game got flexed for next week. Again, the
I'm
Chargers
so
got
happy
moved.
about that. I really am so happy that it was Miami that got flexed and not the Eagles-Giants game.
Yeah,
I
'cause
needed a 1:00 game.
yeah.
Yeah, I
And
have a
that, and you
feeling.
know, I've been seeing a bunch of people complaining that they wish that their team was. I'm like, good, have them flex. I don't want to be playing so, and that's why we're playing this Sunday night against the Colts. And that, you know, everybody's like, why the Colts? Why the Colts? And I'm like, it's not the Colts that NBC wants. It's the Cowboys.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a feeling our Commanders Giants game in 2 weeks or 3 weeks is going to be flexed to the Saturday night game.
You guys are playing on Saturday night? Is Saturday?
Well, no, not this week. I'm saying in 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah, not this week. We're on a bye the following week, and then when we come back off a bye, we play the Giants, and they haven't given us the date yet. So I really think that after, depending on how this game plays out, that's going to determine if we're going to be flexed to the Saturday night game or if we're going to continue on Sunday.
Yeah,
at
but
1.
don't they have? Is it still TBA?
Mm-hmm.
No, God, yeah. That's the part that sucks. You
Yep.
know, they
then-
they screw up a lot of people by not
Oh yeah.
by not saying, okay, is it Saturday or is it Sunday? It's like
Yep.
that's
Yep.
so ridiculous.
That's just like the last game of the season against Cowboys. That's a flex
Yep.
game. So could be
Yeah,
Saturday.
Well, and I
Sunday.
can imagine that that's probably going to be more flex game because that will have playoff implications.
Yep. Or
That's that I would suspect
Yeah.
gets flexed. Right now, this is showcase time. Right now, it's showcase time. You know, you flex playoff games later in the season. When you get to week 17 and week 18, that's when you flex playoff games. Before that, you showcase. You're showcasing teams.
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly what I was thinking. But then, you know, hearing the Dolphins Chargers getting flex, it's like okay.
Well, you're showcasing the Dolphins.
Yeah, because they're
That's
winning.
what you're doing. You're showcasing the Dolphins. You are saying that the Dolphins are real, and you are showcasing them, and possibly with a potential second playoff team.
Right.
You know, the Chargers are the only team that really have the opportunity to make the playoffs other than the Jets. You know, so, I mean, it is, you are showcasing both of those teams, and they both somewhat have playoff implications. So that's why it would happen that way. But short of that, I mean, I got to imagine the reason why they didn't do the Eagles-Giants is because they may flex the second to last game or the very final game of the season because you guys will be playing and so will we. Right. Now, I'm hoping that we won't have to play anybody and that the Giants, that we still beat the Giants with our C squad. Knock them out of the playoffs. And hey,
well,
not only
hearing the Giants coach this week, he's saying that it's, and I don't understand. I mean, I get what he's saying, but this is a new season and this is where it starts now. Okay, I get it, but you're going, more than midway into the season, and you're saying this is a new start. Now, I'm not saying.
Of course, he's saying it's a new start because they just lost 2 games in a row. He doesn't want to make it seem like they're on a downtrend.
Yeah. Exactly, and then you're going in to face an NFC East rival twice in 3 weeks. So, this is a
NFC
game.
East rivals. I mean, well, 2 with the 2 really, but they got Washington, Philadelphia, Washington.
Yeah.
So it's like they got. You're
NFC
right.
Games.
And I've always said, hey, listen, it doesn't matter where our season is. That our season doesn't really begin until we play the Giants. As much as there's a rivalry between Dallas and Philadelphia and stuff like that, truth of the matter is that over the years, and specifically within the last 10 years, us playing the Giants has been the launching pad to what we do for that season and, in the playoffs or what have you. So I feel like our season starts next week.
So going back to the injury report, what's going on with your player who apparently had his kidney
lacerated,
which means that's a hell of a hit.
It was, and it was a hell of a collision.
Yeah,
and you took it away. There was something weird. It wasn't a normal thing because we were like, is that his hip? Is it whatever? Like was it his ribs? Like it was, and it was a devastating hit.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You know, and lacerate your kidney without having somebody stick a knife in you.
Yeah.
Is not a fun. Not a fun thing. He's going to be out for probably 4 to 6 weeks. But from what I'm told, you know, again, I'm not a doctor, and I don't know that the person who was giving me any, you know, talk about this has real say on that either. That the kidney actually heals quickly.
Oh, it does.
So it's that he could be back literally at 1 in 4 weeks.
Yeah, that's the thing. It was, I remember Jason Witten lacerated. He had his spleen lacerated, and I believe that was against Philly from the hit. And it was just like, okay, you have to think about how hard these guys are hitting each other. You never want to see an injury, regardless of the rivalry. You never want to see an injury to any player,
especially at that level. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and when you see an injury such as that, you have cause for concern, not just for the player, but how it happened to begin with. I mean, these guys are moving so fast, and people take away from, you know, the TV perspective of, you know, they see these guys moving fast. I'm like, you guys have seen nothing until you see them in person right in front of you, how fast they run.
Right.
And when they hit, they hit. And I mean, when you hear those helmets clink on TV, it's nothing in comparison to when you hear them hit on the. Yep, he never missed a game. It was a ruptured spleen. That's what it was.
Right.
So you can imagine that.
So, and that's the one good thing about some of the technology today is that they're going to put him in that hyperbolic chamber where they get the sub-freezing levels, and that's literally how that'll heal fairly quickly. So they put him on IR, so he's out for 4 weeks.
I'd be in one every day.
Tell me about it.
Yep. Exactly. And leading to that hyperbaric chamber, just thinking of T.O. this week, what he did to somebody outside a convenience store or medical store, it made. And the first thing they put, it wasn't former Philadelphia Eagle wide receiver Terrell Owens knocks patron out. And I was like, okay, this was just as funny as could be. And I was like, why is he a former
Philadelphia Eagle wide receiver, not Dallas Cowboy or 49er?
Not a Dallas Cowboy, not a San Francisco.
Or Buffalo Bill.
Nothing. It was former Philadelphia Eagle wide receiver Terrell Owens.
And I think all those people down in Dallas are really soft, and they can say whatever they want down there. But everybody who wears those funny glasses, it might be a little soft.
This was on the national news, and that's why I was laughing. I was like, wow, this. I think it was the Washington Post. I don't want to put words in it, but you have to. It was one of the bigger networks that put it out there.
All right, good. You got the joke.
Yeah, I just thought it was ironic that they used that and that. I was like, what? But yeah, apparently he knocked some guy out.
Good for him.
But
and probably bold about a 260 game later on that day.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's like a professional bowler right now.
Hey, there's nothing the matter with that.
So let's get to, since we got 10 minutes left, let's get to the games. Let's start off with the Titans and Eagles, since that's is the first one on my list, of course.
That's a noon game, one game?
That's a 1 o'clock game.
In Tennessee.
And no, in Philly.
In Philly.
Wow.
What's the weather going to be like there?
From what I understand, 40, 45 degrees, 50 degrees, not raining.
Gotcha.
So not super cold, not super, not nothing spectacular. Boring football weather.
There's no such thing as boring football weather.
So both teams place in the AFC South, of course. Ryan Tannehill is going to be the quarterback, at least as of right now. He's going to be, and the over under is 44.5, and the
42.
Eagles are 5-point favorite.
Wow.
You said the over-under is 44.5?
That's pretty high. Especially
pretty high. I was thinking the Eagles were going to score 42 of those points.
Well, yeah, that could happen too.
I don't think the Tennessee defense is great, but I think it's good enough to not. I mean, they just had a 17-10 game, didn't they? They lost last week, 17-10. So, I mean, that just tells me that they are playing somewhat okay. My thought is that we're going to have at least 7 points, and it's going to be like a 27-13, a 27-19 game. The problem with going 19 points is you can only win with 19 points. You can't really lose with 19 points because you're always going for touchdowns when you should be kicking field goals.
Yeah,
so
I play a noon game there or 1 o'clock game there. Yeah, I'm gonna have to give it to the Eagles. Well, what's your injury report?
So the safety's out.
Yeah,
Johnson, but Davis should be back. Let's see, and who do they have out? They have a really long list, but nobody really of worth or of mention. In our case, I mean, Goddard's still out, and Gardner Johnson is out. That's the safety. Davis is available to come back.
I'm gonna have to say you guys are gonna get it with that early game, 27, 23.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Eagles win 28-17. I think A.J. Brown has 4 of those touchdowns. And I think your run defense holds Henry to probably 70 yards. I think you guys stop the run. And I think your defense takes over. I don't think I'm not too scared about Tannehill. So,
well, I hope it doesn't become a super shootout. That's the big deal that I'm concerned about. But
what's the weather looking like?
It's going to be about uneventful.
I just don't see their offense besides Henry. I mean, the weapons.
Yeah, I don't see their passing game. It's all Derrick Henry.
It's all Derrick Henry. Yeah.
He gets out in the open. I mean, it's over with. But
he can catch.
Doesn't mean you can't strip the ball.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
We learned that about Brown. Brown's got to be able to hold the ball a little bit better.
Yep.
It's 2 weeks in a row that he's dropped the ball.
That's it.
So we all have it over.
Yep.
And so 44.5, even though it might be that high, everybody had it over.
Yep.
All right. The next 1 o'clock game, the Commanders in New York. Commanders, 2.5 point favorite.
Not the Commodores. Not this week.
Commanders, nope. Taking command.
2.5 point favorite, and 40.5 is the over under.
Yeah, that's gonna go under. I see it being a 20-17 game. Commanders, of course. It's gonna be one of those games that goes down to the end. What?
Oh, I just got word from Sneaky. Sneaky says that you guys are going to lose 37-0.
Okay, that sounds about right. Yeah, I think our defense is playing good ball right now without Chase. I don't know if Chase is going to be back this week. They said that if he is, he's going to be on a snap count 10 to 15 snaps. And, I think we run the ball. Hopefully we're not depending on Heineke. Hopefully we get a good, strong run game with Gibson and Robinson. And defense continues to what they've been doing. I mean, since week 6, man, 6-1, defense is playing good ball. Turnover ratio is well in our favor. So, keep it going.
I have the Commanders winning also. It's going to be an odd score. The weather, I'm going to say it's going to be an odd score, 23-16. I think the way that Washington's been playing and the way New York's been playing has just been a little offset lately. And I think it's just going to be an odd scoring game with a couple of field goals that make it entertaining. So, and again,
I have a very odd score too. I have it 9-2.
Hopefully. God, man, that would be a horrible game. Is it a touchdown and a safety, or is it 3 field goals?
No, 3 field goals and a safety. That's how that game.
Or is it a touchdown, missed extra point, and then a field goal?
That could be possible too. That's like the epitome with 2 missed field goals going from both sides. So
Lloyd said 3-3.
Yeah, that's yeah, but I wouldn't be. I actually have the Commanders winning this. I think that the Giants are starting the downward trend. I think that they're able to pull out 2 wins out of their to be able to make the playoffs, but that's what it's going to take. It's going to take those 2 specific wins. And then last and least in my eyes, Dallas Cowboys over the Colts by it's 11 points and 43.5.
Yeah, I think we're going to be really holding these Colts down after the performance I saw. Of course, Jeff Saturday is going to want to come in here and Matt Ryan's going to want to be throwing the ball, but I think that's going to be very dangerous for him to do it. Brown has been attacked so much, and that's, one of our cornerbacks, and he's just been, Green Bay got burned, Philly got burned. Last week he got burned. It's just, I understand the plays there. He's going to have one big play to give up, but I just wish it wasn't that. But Colts are going to be held. Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, Gallimore. I think all these guys are going to be holding them up. Not let Ryan do anything. And I think we've got this. I'm going to say we're going to go 35. I'm 35-13.
I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to be closer than you think. I think that amongst everything else that's been going on, the Colts have actually beaten the point spread in the last 5 weeks since Jeff Saturday has gotten there. So I think it's going to be a lot closer game than you're saying. I think you guys will win this game. I think that the Colts stink out loud, but I think the other thing that's confusing me is that this is the week after Thanksgiving and you're not playing on Thursday.
Yeah, and I'll talk more about that next week.
Got you. Because there was something else that I wanted to bring up that somebody actually mentioned over here too, about the Rams and Christmas Day. So I was like, yeah. Like people in LA want to give away anything. People in LA suck, and that now you're saying, "Oh, get in the Christmas spirit and donate your tickets to somebody who will go." Nobody wants to go anyways. That being said, I have the Cowboys winning this game, and I have it like I have a 23 to like a 17. I think that they could, potentially go on a game-winning drive, and they don't.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be close either. I think Cowboys are going to win. I think they're going to dominate the game with their running backs, Pollard and Zeke. I say 42-10. I don't think it's going to be close.
All right. And there we have it. We have our hour done. And yeah, like I said, I guess next week we can look forward to why the Cowboys didn't play this Thursday after Thanksgiving. You know, I guess because they wanted everybody else to get a chance, for a primetime game. That America's team is losing its luster. And
don't get me wrong, we still have
boys,
another Thursday
damn
night.
boys they're now just a team, not America's team. So
No, still America's team. 42 million this Thanksgiving.
So, but and then we get to find out if there's going to be anybody that shows up in LA for the Christmas game. I don't think so. I think Denver and LA both suck, and nobody's going to go to that game. And the NFL is going to be made the laughing stock for showing that game. I'm dead serious. I firmly believe that you'll be able to count, at least on all of our hands, how many people actually show up to that game.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But anyways, everybody, thank you very much for joining us today. We're going to do there's a couple of replays on this one, so you're going to be able to watch it tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening and Friday. We're going to go ahead and show this one a lot here because, when Sneaky's not around, it seems to just go much smoother. That's not true. I miss you, Sneaky. So everybody have a great week. And as always, go Birds.
How about them Cowboys?